Well, good morning and welcome to Zen Fits. I told my wife to hold off on breakfast. I have a fit coming, so let's get on with it. I've been watching the marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Finished the first episode of the series episodes. There are three, fortunately, and the first one ended with her finding her voice as a comic. And she joyously said at the end of her gig, at the end of her performance, instead of using a pseudonym, a fake name, she said, "I'm Mrs. Maisel." And it was such a great, joyous smile on her face when she was able to be her voice, be her historical person. And so there was a question but by the way, this show was very deep. I mean, this is a remarkable work of art because it's got layers that, at least to me, keep revealing myself to myself. It's like it's my story. That's why I said in the yesterday's Zen Fit, Je suis, or I'm Mrs. Maisel. So anyway, it ends, the first episode ends with, or series, put it that way, 3 series, ends with her owning her name as a person, a historical person. She's married, Mrs. Maisel, instead of using some pseudonym. You see, she wanted to be a real person. What's wrong with being me? Why should I be ashamed of me? Why should I cover up myself? Why should I wear a fake name? Why should I put on a costume and pretend to be? Is there something wrong with me? And of course, the context here: is there something wrong with being a woman? Is there something wrong with being a Jewish woman in the 50s? You see, in other words, there's a lot of layers here. But anyway, metaphorically speaking, we're all Mrs. Maisel. We're all looking for our voice, which is his personality. You see, we all come on, I'll pretend to be somebody else. I'll put on a fake face. I'll put on a persona. I'll put on a mask, you see. I'll hide because there's something I loathe about myself. So I can't expose myself, you see. There's something I've got to hide. There's something I don't want to look at. There's something I feel like is a mistake, you see. So I have to wear the face. What will people think? What will people think, you see? We're all driven by that fear. What will people think if I'm myself? What will people think if I expose myself? That's why the flasher is kind of like a metaphor for here I am. You see. So this whole idea, this theme of fearing to be who I am, fearing to speak my word, you see, because my word is my historical word. My word is my neurosis, you see. A neurosis, in a general sense, is that we're all neurotic in that we all have inconsistencies in the lower nature. In other words, we all have layers. We all have aspects of ourselves we're afraid to even look at ourselves. Aspects or depths in ourselves that we cannot look at because it's too terrible. So we hide it, and we don't even know we're hiding it, you see. So this idea of speaking my voice means speaking who I am without covering it up, without being ashamed, without being embarrassed. Audacious, the audacity of being who I am, you see. The audacity of daring to be me. So that's kind of like what this show is about when she says, at the end of her coming out, "I'm Mrs. Maisel." What kind of a name is that, you see? But now the conflict is set up in the second series, in that her husband, whom she loves, and who loves her, discovers that, I'm not killing this for you, by the way, I'm just making it deeper, discovers that her comedy routine makes fun of her personal life. In other words, Mrs. Maisel's comedy routine is exposing herself with her parents, her husband, the things that happen to her, just like me. You know. So when you use your personal historical life as your comedy act, you see, you are exposing yourself to ridicule. But what you get is laughter. Why? Because you're audacious. Because you are daring to speak your voice. And when you speak your voice, here's the irony. When you speak your unique voice, you are speaking the universal voice of everybody, because everybody is one, yet many. But you see, we don't realize we're all one, so we hide our personality and we sneak our little sin. This is why sin is so beautiful, because sin is what we do to speak our true voice, you see, but we hide it. Like my wife's mother was a beautiful, staunch Baptist who was very concerned with what will people think, you see. She always was the pillar of respectability, but she was a secret smoker. She'd go in the bathroom, smoke. So it's kind of like when you're perfect, you have to have a hidden sin in order to be real. Anyway, I digress. So the point, my talk today, the Zen Fit, what I'm having a fit about is that to speak your voice, you have to accept your neurosis. Accept the fact that you're not perfect. Accept the fact that there are inconsistencies. And celebrate it. The celebration of who you are as a deformity. The celebration of who you are as being imperfect. The celebration of your imperfections makes you perfect. So, thanks for dropping in, and I hope you have a Zen Fit today.